This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Luke Sylvia and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic! What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is January 9th, 2023. Jonathan Osborne here, as always, joined by my co-host, Luke Sylvia. Luke, what's up, bro?
Man, I'm great. We had a great night last night, or 2 nights ago, as you guys are listening to this. Just a lot of fun. A lot of people showed out, Jonathan, and the Magic got a win. So all in all, I can't complain about how that night went. It was a lot of fun.
Luke, this is a big episode. This is a big deal. Vooch, Nikola Vucevic. I'm super excited for this, bro. I'm low-key a little bit nervous to talk to the big fella, but I think this is going to be cathartic in a sense. It's going to be therapeutic for Magic fans, I think. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, I mean, it's always different and special when one person carries a lot of memories for yourself, and Vooch does that, and obviously you'll hear it as we talk with him, and just kind of what we expound upon, what we ask him about, and just how he talks about Orlando. I'm sure will be in good light, and it's just nice, right? Like, you have a player that you mutually enjoyed each other's time. And Vooch brought a lot of light to the organization when it was really dark, and I'm glad that we get a chance to really sit down with Vooch and really lay out stuff that he hasn't talked with, to our knowledge, anyone as far as like Orlando media about his time in Orlando, and it's been a few years now.
This is one of those moments where it's like, all right, I've got to kind of pinch myself, like, all right, is this actually happening right now? Because I never would have thought, starting the pod a few years ago, that something like this would be possible. So I think that you guys are really going to enjoy that. We're really excited for it. So make sure that you guys stay tuned in to hear that a little bit later in the episode. But Luke, I got to be honest, bro. I am dragging from that watch party last night. So obviously, like, everybody knows, like, you drive there, I drive there from hours away or whatever. The 8:30 tip, man, these West Coast trips every year, they just hit a little bit different. I don't know if you can see the bags underneath my eyes right now.
Boys bagging.
Getting home, getting to bed about 2 a.m., getting up at 8 for church. I used to be a pro at the 6 hours of sleep thing. I just really can't do it anymore. But the watch party last night was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, man, so many people came out for it. The porch turned out to be a fun spot. It's very open, so there was a lot of room to linger. I spent quite a bit of time standing. I know that you obviously were talking with a lot of people. I was talking with some people as well, just to get to meet listeners too is the coolest part to me. And it's funny, Jonathan. We meet people that you kind of forget about some of the things that we've done. One of the things that we have done, Jonathan, is the Dinwiddie Cup. And we had someone come up to us last night. His name is escaping me right now, so I apologize. But he's a real one, because he came up to us, and one of the first things he says is, he was like, I was listening when you guys did the Dinwiddie Cup. And that was 2020. For those of you that weren't listening then, I know we've got a lot of listeners since. 2020, COVID, no sports happening. Spencer Dinwiddie rolled out like a format for the playoffs of like a scenario of like what they could do as a solution. So we simulated it all through 2K. We sat there. If you know about the Dinwiddie Cup. This kid,
it sucked.
It sucked.
Let's be real.
I don't know.
It was trash.
I don't know that I would have sat through listening to that every week, but this kid did.
Nope.
So shout out to that kid. I'm glad that those days are behind us, and that we're behind. We put those days way behind.
Luke, I went back the other day. I forget why. I went back through our YouTube channel and was like,
bless you,
like rewatch like some of our earlier episodes from like 2020. We've come a long way.
Yeah.
We've come a long way. We both sound much older now for whatever reason. Maybe it's just the magic of beating us down.
Maybe, but probably my mic is just better than it was now.
I don't think that's it, man. If you go back,
I had more pep in
our
my
voices
step?
are.
I was
you were
a young,
bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and now you're like just jaded, beat down podcaster.
I think I was 23 or 24. I think I was 23, maybe.
I was still in the prime of my 20s, and now I'm coming up on 30.
Crazy.
If you have time, Luke, I would suggest you go back and just watch those, like if you want to cringe or like just laugh a little bit. Listeners, don't go back and watch that stuff. I don't think it's really worth it. Quality is much, much better now, I would say.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to everybody that came out to the watch party. Shout out to the porch. Everybody there was awesome, getting to meet so many of you. I freaked out. This kid comes up. He's like, yo, I've been listening since the Dinwiddie Cup. I was like, the fact that you actually listened to the Dinwiddie Cup is fantastic in itself. And that was just like, I don't know that we could have a more obscure reference for somebody to like say upon meeting us and getting, the opportunity to meet everybody else at the watch party last night. Shout out to our boy Philip Rossman Reich that came out and like chilled like the whole time. It was great seeing him, the pod father. Everybody gets super excited, whenever Phil comes through. I know Adam Papa Giorgio from the Penny and Pops podcast came out, so appreciate that. Just everybody that came out, it was a great time. We're waiting to hear word on, if the Magic want to do more of these watch parties throughout the year. The first 4 have all been awesome, like smash turnouts. So we're hoping that they do. Even if they don't, we are going to. Like, we'll figure it out some way or another.
Yeah.
So just keep your eyes open, ears open, all that kind of stuff. We'll continue to do those through the rest of the year. Always a fun time. So appreciate everybody that came out. They're always fun. But yeah, I'd be lying if I didn't say that I am knackered today. Didn't get a good nap in.
Did you just say knackered?
Never a good combination. I'm knackered.
I don't know what that is.
My stepmother is Scottish. I think it's a Scottish thing. Whenever she's tired, she says she's knackered.
Interesting. She's knackered.
I don't know. Maybe our Penny for Your Thoughts or Orlando Magic UK buddies will know what I'm picking up, what I'm putting down when I say knackered.
Hey, in that case,
you're welcome.
I am also
throw that in your vocabulary.
I'm absolutely knackered.
You took a 2-hour nap today. What are you talking about? Are you kidding me?
I require a lot of sleep.
Yeah. All right. Folks, don't forget about NBA All-Star voting. Paolo Banchero, top 8 in Eastern Conference frontcourt voting. Folks, you guys are killing it voting for Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. Coming up on the 13th, the 16th, and the 20th. Those are the remaining 3-for-1 voting days. So make sure that you guys are voting every single day. Vote.nba.com or in the NBA app. But especially the 13th, the 16th, and the 20th. Spread the word. Tap in, vote for your guys, your favorite Magic players, all that kind of good stuff. I know it's a long shot, but I would be just over the moon to have a rookie all-star in Paolo Banchero, and he's off to a really hot start to start the year as he's kind of busting out of this slump. And I hope that he gets the appropriate recognition for that, Luke.
We'll talk about this, right, when we go over these games, Jonathan, but Paolo's averaging in the month of January 27.5 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists. And that's his 3 games in January. Mark Spears had tweeted out and pointed everybody's attention to the fact that Paolo has 8 25-point games during his rookie season after he scored 25 at Golden State. All other rookies have combined for 8. So, rookie of the year, incredible, all-star him, all the things. Kid deserves it. So, yeah, go vote for your boy Paolo Banchero if you haven't done so. And he doesn't have a bad running mate in Franz Wagner. Both now averaging 20 points a game. Man, it's been a long time since we've had something like that.
I was talking with Philip Rossman Reich last night at the watch party, and he reminded me that the last time the Magic had a non-center 20 points per game score, it was Steve Francis.
Yeah, I remember talking about that.
So it's like 17, 18 years without a non-center scoring 20 points per game. And it's going to be 2 of them, a rookie and a second-year player. And he also told me, do you know the last time the Magic had 2 20 points per game scorers?
It's a long time.
Just guess. Guess who they were.
Well, I'll say Shaq and Penny.
Shaq and freaking Penny.
Yeah, checks out. It does check out, I will say.
Coming up on 30 years since we've had both of those guys.
Yeah.
So probably closer to 25 years, but still, that's a long freaking time. And like Shaq and Penny, incredible from day one. And it looks like, Franz and Paolo, maybe same stratosphere. Too early to say. Who knows?
Man.
Pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Man.
Luke, this is usually where we would get into State of the Magic and then go into the game recaps. But this is a special occasion. I think we want to get right into the reason that folks are tuning into this episode. So without further ado, let's get to our conversation with Nikola Vucevic. All right, Orlando Magic fans, this is a segment, an interview, a conversation that we are incredibly excited about. This man needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him one anyway, a proper introduction. This man, all-time Orlando Magic rankings, he's 8th in assists, 6th in steals, 4th in games played and minutes, 3rd in blocks, 3rd in points, 2nd in rebounds, 1st in made field goals. He is without a doubt, unequivocally, a top 5 Magic player of all time. He wore number 9 for the Orlando Magic for 9 seasons, from 2012 to 2021. From USC and Montenegro, Nikola Vucevic. Vooch, how are you, bro? Thanks for joining the show.
I'm good, man. Thank you. That was quite a nice introduction you had for me.
Well, I've had some time since you've left Orlando. We've really hoped and dreamt that one day we could have a conversation with you like this. So I've had it ready. But first of all, how's Chicago? How's Chicago treating you? Are they treating our boy well up there?
No, they are. It's been good for me, for sure. In Chicago, obviously, a little colder than Orlando. I will say that I took the sun for granted when I was in Florida. No, but it's been good. It's been good. Obviously, playing in Chicago, a different situation for me. Obviously, huge city, huge franchise, huge fan base, the history behind it. You can really feel all of it. But no, the organization's been great to me. My teammates, everything, the fans. They're really into the Bulls, and you could really feel. I think, especially last year for us, kind of getting the Bulls back into the playoffs, having a good year after a while. You could feel the energy, but it's been good for sure. Obviously it took some time to adjust, big adjustment for me after 9 years in Orlando, to go to a different city, different team, playing a different role. But, as time has been going on, it's been better and better.
What would you say, Vooch, is the biggest difference between Orlando and Chicago as far as market? Obviously, like you said, the Bulls have so much history, and just what they have been able to do in their time of existence. What would you say is the difference between playing big market and in a market like Orlando?
Well, when you're in the big market, you're always, people look at everything else under the radar. Obviously in Chicago, one of the biggest franchises in the NBA. Everybody knows it because of Michael Jordan and the 90s Bulls. But it's just, much more media coverage. You're much more national TV. Chicago has one of the biggest fan bases, the biggest in America. I think there was some survey this year that showed, and wherever we go, we have fans. Some of our road games feel like we're playing at home. But it's just, you're just so much more out there than when you're on a smaller market. And I think also, expectations are different for Chicago fans because of the history, because of the 6 titles, because of all the players that play there. It's a different, different fan base than, it was in Orlando. And Orlando is much more, if maybe family oriented is the word, where, fans go to the game, but it's, they go, they love the Magic. They're there to support, but it's not as, they're not as hard demanding as in big markets, so it's just, you can tell the difference when you play, but it's just, it's the same. I think if you play for the Knicks or the Lakers or Boston or any of those big teams, it's just different expectations thing at all times, regardless of if your team, the realistic chances are to play well or not, whatever it is, you play for a big market, they expect you to play well to win. That's just how it is. And it comes with the territory. So just different. But, it's fun because, especially you play for the Bulls, so much following. You play, on the road, you have fans, people are really big Bulls fans. So you can really feel that a little bit. But, I think each has its, good and bad.
So another big market, big sports town that you played for your rookie year, Philadelphia. I want to take you back to 2012. What were your thoughts, being included in the Dwight Howard deal and being traded to Orlando? What were your initial thoughts when you got news that you were being traded to the Magic?
Actually, I was happy because I knew I was going in a very good situation for me. In Philly, my situation was unclear after my rookie year. From the conversation I was having with the front office, it was kind of I wasn't sure how much I was going to play, the minutes I was going to get, and all that. When I was looking at what the trade that was happening with Orlando, I looked at it as a great opportunity for me to go there and have time to develop and work on my game and improve as a player. And I liked Orlando a lot in the years before. Obviously, they had such a good team, and I really enjoyed watching them. Obviously, I knew it was going to be different, but you kind of feel like you're going to be part of it, even though some players stayed. But new coaching staff, new front office, and everything. But that kind of stuck for I think another year or two after I came. And then I was really excited about it. And it was, from the beginning, it was great for me. I think the fans accepted me really well. I really fit into the city well, the team, everything. It was really, from the beginning for me, it was great. I played well from the beginning. And each year I was able to take a step forward and, end up being 9 great years for me. But yeah, from the beginning, I just had a very good feeling about getting traded there. I was really excited about it, and it all worked out really well.
Well, like you said, just Orlando was the perfect opportunity for you, right? You go from playing 15 minutes a game in Philly to 33 or 32, whatever it was, exponentially increasing, your chances of just being able to show out and obviously make solidify, making a living, playing basketball. And incredible. Obviously, we are appreciative of those years. But I guess my question is, when you go to Orlando, you said it's a great situation, but did you have an expectation, or when you get traded somewhere, do you think in timelines of like, I would like to be here for X amount of years, or is there any type of expectation there as far as how long you're there?
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, you always kind of hope you're going to be with that one team for, forever or for a long time. Maybe before in the NBA that was realistic. Nowadays, it's I think it's getting harder and harder to do that. But I think that, when I first got there, that wasn't on my mind at all. It was just more, hey, let's, go there. If I get an opportunity, make sure I take advantage of it, do the best that I can, establish myself as a good player, and then, see where that goes. Cause it wasn't like I was this, crazy talented top 5, 10 pick that everybody had huge expectations from. And I was a very talented player, good player, but you couldn't really know how high my ceiling was. So for me, that was my first goal, kind of establish myself as a player, take advantage of the opportunity and continue to grow, daily, year by year, and then see where that goes. And obviously, it started well for me, and I played, well every year and better. And so after, I'd say, 3 or 4 years in Orlando, after I signed my first big deal with the Magic, at that time, I was thinking in my mind, this would be a great place if things work out, if I could stay for a very long time and be part of, Magic history for a long time. And hopefully, because we were going through a rebuild. So in my mind, I was like, okay, turn this thing around and get us back to the playoffs and, bring the Magic back to be, what they were before the trade. So that was kind of my mindset.
So that's actually where I want to head next, Vooch. So you talked about obviously much more opportunity for you in Orlando as opposed to Philadelphia, and you were improving year over year. But the thing, during those teams where you were kind of still lacking the team success. And that's why, to me, and I know to a lot of the listeners, and I know to Luke and Kevin here, that's what made that 2018-2019 season so much fun and so special. What was it like for you, struggling, in terms of team success the first 6 years? 2019, you become an all-star, making the playoffs, winning game 1 in Toronto, being able to host a playoff game in Orlando. What was that year like for you?
It was so much fun. I mean, it was, probably I'll say the best year for sure that we had. For me personally, as a team, to finally get to the playoffs. At first when I got there, it was like, okay, we'll need, a few years to kind of, the young guys to develop, to build a team, to see who can be the guys we can, build around this and that. So you're kind of, you're not okay with it losing, but you understand it's kind of part of the process. So you live with it. But then after, 2, 3 years, you're like, okay, it's time to take, the next step. And we try to do that and it wasn't really working. Then so it kind of, even though, you're playing well, you're trying and all that, like you start to, you don't necessarily question yourself, but it's kind of like, why aren't we getting there? It's like, I want to be there. I want to be in the playoffs. Like, I want to play those games. I want to, fight for something. I don't want to just play to play. So to finally get there, to even just to have a chance to fight for it, was so huge for us. And I always remember that game in Boston when we won and we made it. It was such a, huge moment for all of us. We were all so excited. We were all so happy. It was kind of also unexpected. And we believed we could do it, but nobody else really believed we could do it. It was pretty much the same team. Obviously, with Cliff coming, a lot of it changed so much for us. And we really got rolling, especially second part of the season. I think we finished 22-9 to end the season. It was just such a huge moment that night. I always remember, in the locker room, how happy we were after that. We went to dinner as a team. We're just a huge thing. And just a huge, for us, all of us that have been through, like Evan, Aaron, myself, DJ was part of it for a couple of years, Terrence. I don't know if I'm forgetting anybody, but, we went through kind of the losing for a while. And so for us to get there, it was huge. We were so happy about it, and you could feel the excitement around the city and people really into it. And so that was, for sure, one of the best moments. And it was something I always remember. And obviously, it sucks that the year after, where we were also on our way to make the playoffs, COVID happened, so we couldn't do it at home. But to make the playoffs 2 years in a row was huge for us. I know we didn't have much success in the playoffs, and it wasn't realistic with the team we had. But just to get there, play for something, for us, it was all a huge achievement.
I tell you what, after game 1, 2019, I was like, we're winning the title, baby. we're here. We're winning it. Now, obviously, that didn't happen, but game 1, just incredible.
Yeah,
it's little things, but even that one game you win, you always remember that. It's something you go through with your teammates, something that you always remember, regardless.
So, Vooch, the one thing that I always will remember is, you talk about that night where you clinch in Boston. The one thing that I'll always remember is the post game with Dante Marchitelli, where he asked you guys, do you have any idea how lit the city of Orlando will be that their playoffs are coming to Orlando? And the quote from Evan Fournier is something I always remember, which was, I guess we'll see, man. I guess we'll see. And he's just smiling from ear to ear, and he daps you up. I guess Evan was a huge part of kind of your time in Orlando. Obviously, he comes in a few seasons after you get there. But can you kind of talk about just the relationship that you and Evan had on the court and off the court that kind of built up to that moment where you clinch in Boston, and just the joy that, like, you guys finally get to experience together?
Yeah, so obviously everybody knows, how close Evan and I have become as friends, and we still are. But yeah, I think it's so special for us because I think it's rare that you're able to build such a close friendship with someone. I think at your job in general, but especially in professional sports, because there's so much change, so much turnaround, and it's hard that you're close with all your teammates. You build friendships, but to really build a close friendship, and become almost like best friends, like we are, it's rare. And so, we were really lucky to have that, and we were able to play for so long. And to go back to what I said, we went through so much of the losing and the tough times, and the not fun of it, to finally get there and do it, was huge. It was such a huge accomplishment for us. I think in that moment, right after the game, like, there was just so much excitement. Like, it doesn't hit you as right away, like that, but it was just, we talk about it. And it was those last 2-3 years were really fun for us to compete and play. And, we were playing for something, we're getting somewhere. And so it was very exciting. But yeah, to go through all that and finally achieve your goal, and to do it with someone, you're close friends with, and that you build a great relationship off the court as well on the court. We were a big part of that team, was something that meant to us a whole lot.
So, Vooch, you talked about the fact that, 19 and then in 20, the COVID year, you guys make the playoffs 2 straight years. You guys get off to a really hot start in 2021, and then Markelle Fultz goes down with the ACL. And then it just seemed like if it was one injury after the other. I think Evan had some stuff going on with his back, and then Aaron Gordon, rolls his ankle. And then it just seemed like the wheels of that team started to fall off. And then we kind of had a feeling, fans did at least, going into the trade deadline. You guys, I think the last game before the deadline was against Phoenix, and Evan, had a big shot late in that game to help you guys win. And you could tell that in the post game, I think it was Josh Robbins was talking to Evan about, if this is the end, what has your time in Orlando meant? So we had the feeling that Evan was probably on his way out. He was on an expiring contract. Aaron Gordon, a couple of weeks before, had requested a trade, understandably so. But when I tell you, when we got that notification, the Woj bomb of all Woj bombs for Magic fans, that you and Al-Farouq Aminu were being traded to Chicago, I to this point, I still almost can't believe it. I wanted to ask you, because we've heard kind of mixed things over the last couple of years. What do you remember those conversations with management leading up to the trade deadline? Were they communicating with you like, this is what we're trying to do? Where would you like to go? What were conversations like that with the front office?
Yeah, I can't go too much into detail about all that, obviously, but it was more, I think it was just, kind of mutual, because we just all felt like that team was kind of coming to, it kind of achieved its max. And it was, if there was an opportunity for change, that was something that, was worth looking at, exploring. And so I think it was just, maybe the good time to do it. Maybe it was also, if it didn't happen then, it probably would have happened at some point later, just because I think it was just time for, that change. That team never, maybe didn't have the chance to really play at its maximum potential, for, injuries, different, J.I. didn't play for a while, Markellen gets hurt. So you're thinking, you don't have those guys for another year after that season too. Evan was expiring contract. AG, I think it was 2 or something. So, it was just a lot of things that were happening that you could kind of tell it was maybe time for that change. And so, the deal happened. Obviously, everybody was shocked that I was the first to go from that team, but it was just, it was just the right timing for all parties. And I think it worked out for everybody, and, it was very hard for me, obviously, when it happened, when I got the call, but, to this day, when I think about it, it's still hard for me to because I had such a huge attachment to Orlando and the Magic. But, I think it was just a time for me to try to take a new step in my career and try to, go for something else. And I think for the team to start a rebuild and, try a different direction.
Yeah, you talk about, Vooch, you talked about the city of Orlando being kind of a family-friendly place. And there's kind of to backtrack as far as you talk about, it's, Jonathan says it's hard to believe and that all that transpired and that, Woj tweets that and we couldn't believe it. I remember I was pulling into a chiropractor appointment, Vooch. So I remember where I was when we got the news. So that's how big of a deal you are to us and to this franchise, that I remember something like that. I'm pulling in, I look at my phone because I obviously know that stuff's going to happen that day. Last thing I thought was going to be on my phone. But all that to say, man, JJ Redick put things in perspective for me when he was talking about at one point him getting traded from Orlando. And he says, you still have those moments where like people don't understand that you're still a human. You have a family and, you're moving them and you're not able to kind of stay put. And people just think of it very transactionally. And so that's something that ever since then, when a player gets traded, that's what I think about. I think about, this player is going to be leaving. They're going to be, raising a family somewhere else. I guess as far as like becoming a dad and the things that like you have done, so far in your NBA career, you might have thought like, I've done everything. And then you become a dad. Can you kind of real quick talk about the balance between being a great dad, but also working and being productive in what you do?
Yeah. So, obviously becoming a dad totally changed, my life. Yeah. People always told me that like, once your son is born, you're like, and I'm like, okay, like, sure. But like, you don't realize it until like he's born and you're holding him and you're like, okay, like no, like this like it's like I'm not as I'm important, but like it's all about your kid. But I think for me, what happened, I think, is I just felt like even a more sense of responsibility once my first son was born. I have a second one. I actually have a third one on the way, another boy.
Congrats! Are we breaking news right now?
Well, it's out there, but not everybody knows it. But yeah, I guess in some way. But what's it called? even though like he was just a baby, and that he doesn't. I mean, at that time when he was just born, it was that year, the 18-19, when we first made the playoff. You don't you felt I felt a different sense of responsibility to where one day when he gets to a certain age and he starts understanding what it who I was, what I did, that I can go back and talk to him about it and be like, hey, listen, this is what I did to be the player that I was. This is what it took. All the sacrifice, all the the hours that I put in, everything that you go through, and that's kind of it's been my mindset since then. That I'm also, obviously I'm their father, but I'm also a role model, and I imagine probably they're probably gonna want to try this basketball route. I imagine. I mean, they're obviously very tall already, both of them, and all they do all day, every day, is just play basketball. So it'll be huge for me to be able to talk to them about it and tell them what it takes and tell them my story. And so that's where that sense of responsibility comes, where I have to, for me to be able to tell them what I got to do, I have to do it myself. And so that's really what happened with me but obviously now it's different also because you're trying to balance both. You want to make sure you put in the work that you need to be the player you are, but you also want to make sure you're home enough for your family, for your wife, because it's not easy on my wife to have to, she's alone so much with them throughout the year when we travel. We're gone for, weeks at a time, or, even when I'm home, but sometimes I'm not really like I'm home. If I have a game, morning shoot around, afternoon game, rest in between, study, do all that. So there's, it's not always easy to balance, but you try to do the best you can. And I think now as they're getting older, for me, it's getting easier because they love the game so much. And my older, he's only 4, but he's asking me all these questions about teams, players, this and that. And then, so like now I get to take them to the gym with me if I go, and like, if it's not a team practice, if it's just me going to get shots up or lift or something, they'll go with me and they love it. They love going to the practice facility and they'll just run around while I do my work. So those moments are also special. So, but I think like it's for every work, people work, they work regular jobs 8 to 5, they also, don't see their kids half the day. And so you got to find the right balance. But that's where a lot of responsibility comes. And I think that, as kids get older, they'll understand why you did it. And they understand that they'll have to do it too when they get to a certain age. And then when they become, so it's just part of that cycle, just like my dad, he played. So I saw a lot of the stuff from him, and he was able to do a great job of being there for us and also being a professional. So now, I can do the same and be a good example for them growing up as well. So just try to find the right balance. It's not always easy, but, you do the best you can, and, you hope it all works out.
Vooch, going back to your first press conference with the Chicago Bulls, after the trade, Josh Robbins, jumps on, that Zoom call, and you got, pretty emotional, being asked about, leaving Orlando. For us, if you getting traded wasn't bad enough, to see that reaction from you was like the ultimate gut punch for us. We're like, this guy, in some sense still wanted to be here. But did you around that time get a sense just for like the outpouring of love for Magic fans and like just the esteem that we hold you in and how much you were appreciated in your time here? Did you get a sense of that? And if you did, what can you just talk about what that might have meant to you?
Yeah, so I think when Josh, when I saw him pop up on the big screen and start asking me the question, at that moment already, I think that's the moment when it finally kind of hit me because it all happened so fast. I get the call, I'm traded. Like 3 hours later, I'm on a plane flying to Chicago. I get to Chicago. I have to do all these tests. I have to do all this interview. I have to do all this stuff. Like my mind is all over the place. I don't even have time to kind of realize what's going on. Like it was even though I knew like there was a chance it happens, like you're not ready for it. Like I was not, like you can't, like you just, until it happens. It was my first time that happens, especially in season. It's like in Philly was different. I was just there for like 6-7 months. It was a lockout year. It was in the summer. Like Orlando was a whole different story because it was such a big part of my life and of who I was as a player, as a human, everything. So you can't prepare yourself for that. So I think when Josh, it just all started hitting me, and then he asked like that question, and then I started talking, and obviously all the memories came back, all the people, all of my teammates, everything, my whole life there, my time there, it just all came back at once. And I tried so hard to hold it. There was no chance. So I just kind of, let it go. Yeah, I mean, I had received I had people send emails to my agency, and then like look at my Twitter, you have an email if you want to contact me. And then they were forwarding, I had like 20 emails from people like writing like essays about like, hey man, when you got to Orlando, I was 9, and then I'm 18 now. I said, I was like 15, now I'm 25. So like you can't read that and like not have a reaction to it. And like my Twitter obviously was going crazy. So I had literally everyone almost from the organization reach out to me and be like, we can't believe. So it was just so much of it. I didn't really have time to like settle and like gather it all. So it happened all at that moment. But it also, I think it shows, how much Orlando meant to me and how much of a special place was it to me. And so on so many levels, from a basketball standpoint, from to like human standpoint, so many people I've met, they're great people that I'm still very close with. So, I feel like I was really blessed to be in that situation for so long and to have that, and that'll stay with me forever. So, Orlando is still home for us. I think, home in the state of home, Montenegro, but here, and that's probably where we live when I retire anyway. So it's just, it was a lot in that moment to handle, and there was no chance for me to hold it in. But I think that in a way, I'm kind of glad it happened because, people really saw how much it meant and that it was really true. What I said was really true from the heart. It wasn't just, you say just to say it. I really meant it. So I think, people appreciate that even more.
You've obviously had, some time since the trade happened. You've been, adjusting to life in Chicago and everything that brings. When you, I guess, think of the times in Orlando, what if you could just give like a top 2 moments list, between, obviously you had a ton of great moments, but what would you say kind of the top 2 that stick out automatically, in your time in Orlando?
Basketball or just in general?
In general, you can, whatever you want to
say. 2 might be hard. I'd say obviously the best for me would be, my 2 boys being born. That would be obviously, nothing can top that. I got engaged while I was in Orlando. As far as personal life, I'd probably say that. And like as far as basketball, obviously when we made the playoffs, when I made my first All-Star, those were huge. There have been a lot of great moments. On and off the court that I always remember. But to me, I always say the main thing for me that I always carry with me from Orlando is just all the great people that I had the chance to meet over the years, and the way they welcomed me and made me feel like I was at home. That's the thing that I remember the most, that I miss the most, is all those people that I had a chance to work with, spend time with, go through the ups and downs with, and everything. Something that it's hard in life to find such good people to have and surround yourself with. So I was really lucky to have that.
I want to ask you, you talk about all the people, in Orlando and, the people that you would see on a daily basis, in Amway. When you had the opportunity last season, to make your return to Amway, it was the day after Thanksgiving. What was that day like for you? What was the experience like, getting dressed in the visitors' locker room, the standing ovation that you received from the crowd? What was that night like for you?
It was a lot. I think it definitely affected the way I played. I think my focus was definitely not at usually what it is when I play a game. I'm like usually really locked in and very focused on the game. For that game, I really tried to lock into the game, but I think it was just almost impossible because, I was really looking forward to seeing everyone there. And I spent, usually pregame, I'm warming up, doing this and that. I spend most of my pregame, talking to people that, And a lot of those people I didn't even get a chance to really see the year before because of COVID, and we had limited, people could be there, limited people you could you couldn't talk to anybody because, of all the rules. So that also, I think, made it even more special for me to come back. So I spent so much time trying to talk to people, say hi to everyone, try to give everyone, time and catch up and everything. That by the time the game started, I was already my emotions were all over the place. I wasn't as, focused as I should have been. Well, thank God my teammates, had great games. So we ended up doing okay.
They were focused.
Killing us. Yeah. Thanks.
They were fine. But I think that was just the way it was, it's just natural, I think, for me when I expected that to be that, that way. I didn't have I wasn't coming back and I need to have a 40-20 game. And that just, it wasn't for me. It was just kind of taking it all in, seeing everyone, seeing the fans, even the people that, sitting courtside that I've, seen almost every other night when I was there for 9 years and everything. So even the people that worked in the arena, that I've seen so many times over the years, and, the security people, the people that, work, in the restaurants and the bars that deliver the food to the front row seats, all that, I know all those faces, I've seen them so many times. So for me, it was just really about taking it all in, and it was a great night for me. My older son and my wife were there sitting courtside, and so that was fun, except that now he always has to sit courtside because of that one time, but I'm like, nah, that's not happening. But it was a great night for me. It was really special, and obviously I really appreciated the fans and the standing ovation and the video the tribute that the Magic did, and seeing all the people that worked there. It was really, really special night for me. And then even the second time when we came back, but it's even now when we come back, we're there January 28th, I think. It'll also be special for me to come back. Every time, like I said, Orlando will always be, the special place for me.
Vooch, as we wrap up here, first of all, I just want to thank you for your time, jumping on the show. I know I speak for all of us. I speak for a lot of fans. This is something that we've been looking forward to for a long time, just hearing you talk about your time in Orlando. I from the bottom of my heart, I really hope you understand how much you still mean to Magic fans, what you mean to the history of the Orlando Magic, how much we appreciate you. It was 10 minutes after you were traded, and people were demanding that we hang number 9 in the rafters, that we retire your jersey, as soon as you left. We've talked about the fact that without a doubt, you will eventually be inducted into the Orlando Magic Hall of Fame. We will throw hands with anybody that does not agree that you're a top 5 Magic player of all time. For a franchise that's had Dwight Howard and Tracy McGrady, Penny Hardaway, Dwight Howard, you're up there with those guys, for us and your time with the Orlando Magic. So I hope that you understand how much we appreciate you, and we will continue to appreciate you. I just wanted to ask you, kind of give you the opportunity. Is there anything that you would like to say to Magic fans?
I just want to obviously, thank them for all the, the 9 great years that I had there, the support that I was receiving constantly every day, whenever, it was on social media or obviously at games, throughout the city, wherever it was. I could always could feel, the love that the fans were showing me. And I also appreciate them starting the Vooch sound when I'm getting introduced. It carried over to Chicago. So it's that was special for me. No, just just big thanks to everyone for all the love and support over the years, the good times, the tough times. Something that I always carry with me, and I think when you're there and you go through losing, winning, you don't always realize it, but I think that it really hit me, the connection I had with the people there once I left. Once the trade happened, so many, messages, like I said, so many emails, so many, people reaching out to me. Never in my mind did I think it would be at that level. So that meant really a lot to me. That's most important to me. I think that goes above any wins, losses, anything that we could have achieved as a team. Having that relationship with fans and achieving that level of respect that I earned with them, something that I'll carry with me forever. And that was very important to me. And I think it also came in a natural way. I think, I was never a guy that was, forcing it or, saying all kinds of stuff to get the fans to love me or anything. It was always natural. I think they appreciate that and respected that. I think they respected the way I was on the court and I was playing and how much I dedicated myself to it. So I think that's what made it also really special because it came in a very natural way and it lasted for so long. And so, yeah, I mean, just big thank you and always carry that with me.
Vooch, you're a Chicago Bull. You still have a lot of basketball left to be played in your career. I have to ask, sometime, a long time from now, if it makes sense, I know I speak for a lot of people. We want to see you retire in pinstripes. Would you ever be open to returning to the Magic if it made sense for you?
Of course. I mean, that's something that I would love to do at some point. Maybe we'll see. When that is possible, and if that's realistic, and how it all works out. But yeah, for sure, I would like to, if anything, at least get one last year in Orlando. I think it's only right it happens. So we'll see. We'll never know. I mean, I feel like I had a lot of basketball left, so who knows what'll happen. But yeah, for sure, something that's on my mind. I can't say it's not.
Vooch, this meant the world to us, man. I know fans are going to feel the same way. Can't thank you for everything that you did as a player for the Magic and in the city of Orlando. And just really, really grateful for your time, man. Thank you so much.
And of course, thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
Luke, that was Nikola Vucevic. I don't have words.
I can't believe it happened. This is something that we have hoped for. It is one thing to get a Magic player on your podcast. It is a whole other thing to get a Magic legend on your podcast while he is still playing. I really, like you said, you have no words. I've got none.
And to be able to go where we went with that conversation, like anything, like I hope that this was the conversation that every Magic fan dreamt of having with Vooch, being able to ask him like all of the questions that we all wonder about, like how did it feel like to get traded? What did your time in Orlando mean? I super appreciative for him taking the time, obviously, like in the road, he's getting ready to play the Celtics tomorrow and taking the time. And that conversation was just everything that I could have ever asked and dreamt for.
Yeah, no doubt. Shout out to Nikola Vucevic for the conversation, man. That was surreal.
I don't have words. I wish I could like properly express the way that I'm feeling right now. I don't know that because we like literally just ended with Vooch. Yeah. I can't process everything that just happened. I think the interview speaks for itself. I don't think we have to say a ton here, but just incredibly grateful to Vooch for taking the time. And like this doesn't happen without you guys listening. Like you guys supporting us throughout the years, like has just helped us get to like a interview with Vooch. And I'm just super grateful to our listeners and to everybody, to Vooch, and what an awesome conversation.
Never thought in a million years that after, so you'll remember if you follow us on Twitter or Instagram, wherever, if you followed us then when he got traded, we dropped the tribute video to Vooch, to which he quote tweeted, said, "Thanks for the touching video." 100,000 views later, I never thought we were going to actually get to talk with the guy that we made the video about. And the video too, like evoked emotion from not just Magic fans. If you'll, I know you remember, Jonathan, tons of people.
Yeah.
I'm a Raptors fan. Why am I crying right now? I'm a Cavs fan. Whatever it is, there were so many people that showed love for the video about Vooch and what he meant to us. Just a crazy ride that we're on as a show. But just also as fans to have that conversation with him, it means the world.
I just remember like really struggling to process the trade. Like for like 3 days, it was the first thing that I thought about when I woke up. It was the last thing that I thought about when I went to bed. And we were like, we need to do something. So like writing that and like narrating it, and then you like produced the whole thing. For me, it was super like therapeutic to be able to express what I was feeling in the moment to him. I never dreamt that he would see it and then like quote tweet it and retweet it. And then on top of that, I never thought I would have the opportunity to tell him how he made Magic fans, how he made myself feel. I never thought we'd have the opportunity to tell that to him, to his face.
Yeah.
So I'm just incredibly blessed for the opportunity. And this is an episode that I will literally never forget.
Never.
This is one of the coolest moments in the Six Man Show's history.
For sure.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to say about that. Let's get into Orlando Magic basketball. All right, really quickly, let's get into the state of the Magic here for this week. This week, the Magic went 2-1 on the week, bringing them to a record of 15-25. Me and Luke, dead wrong last 2 weeks. Who could have seen it coming?
This week, no. Us being wrong, I could have seen it coming in general. Just us being wrong.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. The Magic now have a record of 15-25. They have the 5th worst record in the league still. They're still 13th in the Eastern Conference. They're now 3.5 games back of Atlanta for the final play-in. So we've been talking about Washington, Toronto, Chicago, Atlanta, all kind of flip-flopping between 7 and 10, and the Magic are just kind of the outside looking in. And they are, if they're able to put some more wins together, could find themselves like right in the thick of all of that pretty soon here. The Magic also have an offensive rating on the year of 110.8, which ranks 25th in the league. They have a defensive rating of 114.1, which ranks 24th in the league. Their overall net rating is negative 3.3, which is 26th in the league. On the injury front, Jonathan Isaac and Chuma Okeke still remain out. The Magic got Mo Wagner back on Saturday, or was it Saturday? Yeah, it was Saturday against the Golden State Warriors. He's back from his illness, which delayed his 2-game suspension. He served the 2-game suspension, and now he's back, Luke.
Yeah, I mean, and you have felt that. Mo Wagner made some great plays against Golden State. Great to have him back. We are just so close. I didn't think that we were this close, like even a couple months ago. If you told me in January the Magic would pretty much be getting back to full strength with some great possibilities on the horizon, I'd be like, nah, probably not. But I was also like, just felt pessimistic about the injury situations. But now that we can see the light, I just, get healthy, stay healthy, and let's roll.
All right, Luke, I want to talk a little bit about our Patreon here. So we talked last episode about the fact that we are rolling out this new tier in our Patreon community, the Elite tier. So if you're familiar with our Patreon at all, our Hall of Fame tier was our highest tier, and now our Elite tier is the highest tier. It includes all of the benefits from the Hall of Fame tier, including things like monthly Zoom hangouts with us, access to our Discord channel. We give away free t-shirts every month, all of that, plus some other stuff. Plus, now we have partnered with the Magic, and we're able to offer up to 35% off discounts for Magic home games in most sections. Like, you're not going to find tickets like floor seats or anything like that. But most sections around Amway, you can now get up to a 35% off discount as long as you are a part of our Elite tier. And once you join our Elite tier, we send you all of the information on how you can access those perks and how you can get those kind of discounts to those games. But if you're not familiar with our Patreon, you can find us at patreon.com/The Six Man Show, where we now have 4 tiers of benefits. Again, like discounts to Orlando Magic home games. It's pretty sick that we're able to offer that. So a big thank you to all of our patrons. We do have a few new patrons this month, some folks that have also gone ahead and upgraded from other tiers to our new tier. So I'll start with Nostalgia and M&M's, who jumped from our All-Star tier to our Elite tier. Really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much. A new Hall of Fame tier in Magic Kid 714. Thank you for joining our Patreon. Our boy Ty Mr. TV, always showing love, always supporting. He went from our Hall of Fame tier now to the new Elite tier. Shout out to Stephen Cameron, our buddy Stephen Cameron with the Close Up Magic, who joined our rookie tier in the Patreon. Tito Magic joined our All-Star tier. Thank you so much. And then I love this name, Let's Spank, Don't Tank. That is just a top tier Patreon name. He joined the Elite tier. Thank you so much. And then Soft Taco came through with the Hall of Fame annual subscription. So thank you so much for all of your support. We really, really appreciate that. And apart from just our brand new patrons, which we shout out every single episode, now we shout out our Hall of Fame tier patrons and our Elite tier patrons on every single episode, which is what I'm going to do now. It's now 2 pages. Wow. This is getting pretty crazy. We appreciate the love, y'all. We'll start with Court Cousins, Armin. Got to jump to the next page here. Carson Tulo, Jonathan Borges, Normal, Magic Player History, Julio Bailey, Gabe Gaines, Wiffle, Michael Martin, Jamel Miller, Michael Salapong, Franz Godefasho, The Distract, Mo Bamba, Yo Mama, Petition to get producer Kevin on every show, Pierre A, Migzors, Nostalgia and M&M's, Dylan Holden, Mr. Mikey, Lil Penny, Eduardo Sanchez, Drum, Danimal, Dutto15, Bobby Skinner, Goody93, Teddy Sylvia, Eric Lopez, Fuchsia, Juan Giraldo, who came out to the watch party last night. Shout out to Juan. Thanks for coming by and thanks for saying what's up to us. We really appreciate your support, brother. Bill Fulton, Edmund Ligon, Jose Esquilin, Destined for Greatness, Caleb Pete, Cannibalism, Time Mr. TV, Joe Rothfuss, ESPN Really Sucks, Gear 95 Shred, Junior Barus, Half Freakin, Shahin 177, Himlo Ban Himro, RM Prof 221, Ray Pastrana, Magic Kid 714, Let's Spank Don't Tank, again, elite name, and Soft Taco. Thank you to all of our elite tier patrons, all of our Hall of Fame tier patrons, and all of our patrons. Luke, that list is getting out of hand.
It's fat. And
it's pretty crazy.
So first of all, like you said, you've already brought attention to his name. Let's Spank Don't Tank. Anytime, like now that I hear that, all I think is like the Tom and Jerry gif where Tom is just spanking Jerry, just absolutely going to town. So that's what I think of. Shout out to him once again. You're getting a lot of shout outs, but well worth it. Great name. If you have great names, you're going to get good shout outs. Especially, I want to say, Jonathan, we're up to, you said that it's getting long. We're up to 87 patrons. I didn't clear this before. We haven't talked about this. We are 13 away from 100 patrons, which is nuts to me. Maybe for 100, we do something special. Maybe another giveaway, something. It feels right if we have 100 people that have joined, which is crazy because what we start the Patreon was that the start of last season. I can't remember, but
like summer of like preseason of last year, somewhere around.
Yeah.
there.
So the fact that many people, man, are rocking with us is amazing. So yeah, let's get to 100 and then we can talk about it. But I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe a little tease.
Okay. I can respect that.
Yeah.
I can respect that for sure. Luke, 2 games since our last episode. First of all, let's talk about this Grizzlies game. I just have to get this off my chest. I don't like the Grizzlies.
Corny.
Last year, they're like the Cinderella story. Everybody was like, they were cute. They were the underdogs. They were charming. Since then, like obviously, when you start winning games and you know you're smacking teams on a regular basis, it's easy to get this level of swagger and like this confidence. They just piss me off. Like Ja I was a big fan of Ja, like coming into the league and first couple of years, exciting, explosive young player, and I think he's a great kid. Like I know he does a lot for fans. Just as a fan of an opposing team, I just find him really, really corny. Every time he does anything, like he's talking trash, like bro, just shut up, just play basketball. There was a foul call on Paolo where they literally like jerseys brushed up against each other. I don't think there was any body contact. But he's like flexing and talking trash. I'm like, bro, you barely got touched. Cut it out. Like, stop the antics, the shenanigans, the tomfoolery, all of it. I don't have any time for it. I don't appreciate it, especially when it's against my team and you're losing and the Magic are down by like 20 plus at this point. I really don't like the Memphis Grizzlies. And I feel like it might be like the Nickelback effect where like all of a sudden people started hating Nickelback and like now everybody hates Nickelback. It's like people started to not like the Grizzlies, and now it's like a popular thing to not like the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
And losing to them doesn't help.
Yeah. I think as far as the Grizzlies go, Ja has a great story in terms of he's been an underdog before, right? Like he was at Murray State, which is not a big basketball school. They're great for where they're at, right? And they were able to make the tournament with him. They've started to build a good resume as far as college basketball does go. But he played at Murray State, and he made a huge impact. Goes to the Grizzlies, has turned them into what they are now, which is an incredible basketball team. But, like you said, it gets a little old that he's got to dance for everything. The dancing in the hallways on the way out to the court, just that sort of stuff. Like I get it. Like I'm sure Grizzlies fans just eat that up and they love it. But it's just one of those things. You hate them.
If it was the Magic, I would love it. But because it's not, I hate it.
Listen, if this young group like the Magic was doing dances out of the tunnel, yeah, everybody would also eat that up. Like, that would be a lot of fun.
You also have to win to do that, though. If our team did it, people would probably meme it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, they do it. And then you always see those things where it's like someone gives like an empowered speech and then they say, yeah, they probably lost that game by 50. That would be the Magic for sure. If we tried to do that, I will say Ja Morant might eventually get his team in trouble with maybe things that he does on the court, things he says in press conferences. You remember when in the finals, Clay made a comment about LeBron and LeBron heard it? And I don't remember what exactly.
Guess he just got his feelings
hurt.
Yeah,
I guess he got his feelings hurt. And the reporter told him.
And LeBron's like, what did Clay say? He's like, like that high-pitched laugh.
Yeah, cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could see Ja getting his team into a little sticky situation like that when it comes postseason time, especially as like they're on everybody's radar now, for sure. We'll see. But I would love nothing more than for Ja Morant to do something that evokes a superstar on the other team to go off and, lose them the series because they use that as motivation, board material, if you will. So, yeah, not a lot of fun. The game wasn't a lot of fun until the final minutes, so whatever.
Well, you saw it last year with the Phoenix Suns. Like, when they would post the videos of them, like, lifting after wins, everyone's like, oh, man, this is what it means to be a winner. Look at that Suns culture. Now, every time they lose, people are like, oh, Devin Booker after this loss, like, doing, like chest presses after the game. Like, it's a meme. So when the Grizzlies, when that window eventually closes, whatever, it might be a very long window. They have a really talented young team. They're great. If stuff goes bad, like the way that it has with the Raptors this year, where like, good team last year, now they're not so good. If stuff goes bad with the Grizzlies, that will be memed over and over and over. That's just the nature of the internet. Like, people, they love to see your downfall. So, yeah. But anyways, definitely was not a fun game for the most part until the fourth quarter. The Magic were down big in the second half. I believe it was 25 in the third quarter. Mm-hmm. Then the Magic realized, all right, we're about to lose this game in typical Magic fashion. They cut the lead to 6 in the final few minutes, but just not able to make enough plays, get enough stops down the stretch. It didn't help in that game that I think Franz Wagner went into the third quarter with 3 points, into the fourth quarter with 3 total points and finished with 22, 19 in the third quarter. In the fourth quarter, Paolo Banchero, I believe, had 20 in the third quarter. Good grief, I am exhausted. My numbers and letters are all. I'm like that. Alan from Hangover, and when he's at the blackjack tables, you guys all the numbers like spinning around, but I can't make any sense of it. But Paolo was awesome in the third quarter, helped the Magic get back in the game. Franz was awesome in the fourth quarter, helped kind of close the gap, but just not able to make enough plays down the stretch. As good as Franz was in that fourth quarter, the first 3 quarters he was like non-existent. I don't know what was going on. I have a conspiracy theory that whatever illness Mo Wagner had, to miss the game against the Wizards last week. Well, he was supposed to be suspended anyway. We won't rehash all of that. But maybe Franz caught a little bit of whatever Mo Wagner had and just forgot how to play basketball for the first 3 quarters and then went crazy in the fourth, which was a lot of fun. But it's like, hey, if you show up like 12 minutes earlier, we'd probably win this game.
Yeah. Just frustrating overall. I think if you the one thing that I would talked about previewing kind of the Magic Grizzlies episode of the game recently was that the Grizzlies are one of the best teams at scoring in the paint. They're one of the best teams at defending the paint. And I said, if the Magic aren't able to hit their 3-pointers or they're not taking high volume 3-pointers per usual, you're not going to win this game. Jonathan, the Grizzlies scored 64 points in the paint, and the Magic shot 30% from 3. And you only made 11 of them. Like, if you're going to shoot 30% from 3, you better be just chucking up threes at that point to be able to win a game like this. Magic only score 40 points in the paint, I believe it was. 40 points in the paint. To give you an idea, the team that scores the least on average in the paint is Dallas, was 42.5 points in the paint. So you need to absolutely be above that threshold to put up a fight when you're shooting poorly from 3, especially against a team like the Grizzlies. Just couldn't get it done, man. Couldn't get it done. There's a great team. You give up a huge second quarter, 43 points to the Grizzlies. You're never going to win a game doing that. The Grizzlies are far too explosive, and they can get it going. Ja wasn't even much of a factor when it came to the first half, right? And you just knew eventually that shoe's going to drop, Ja's going to go off, and they're going to bury you. So I'm glad that they were able to show up in the fourth, but at the same time, it's frustrating because it's like, where was that? Like, where was that when you were giving up 43 and scoring 23 in the second quarter? Where was it when you were putting up 20 in the first quarter and couldn't take advantage of the Grizzlies only scoring 22? So frustrating to say the least, to see them come back but not really come back. I don't know that I really ever believed that the team was going to make that comeback and win. It was exciting in the moment.
You never do.
Of course not. This is a Magic, bro, and this is what they do. They play with your heartstrings.
They've done it a couple times this year. Come on.
They
give
have.
Give them a little bit more
but
credit.
The Grizzlies...
I had a little bit of hope at the end there.
Sure, fair. But it is, regardless, in retrospect, frustrating to say the least, based on how the rest of the game was played. Franz not showing up or doing anything until the fourth quarter. While he was incredible, I would have rather him just been himself over all 4 quarters of that game so that you don't have things happen like that first half. Just ridiculous, but is what it is, man.
Yeah, as fantastic as Ja was, 32 points on almost 62% shooting. To me, the biggest problem for us was Jaren Jackson Jr. So it started off like the first quarter, like we just could not get into the paint without Jaren Jackson either blocking a shot or critically altering a shot. He finishes 31 points on 12 of 14 from the floor, 2 of 3 behind the arc, 5 of 7 from the free throw line. He added 10 rebounds and assists, a steal, 3 blocks. He was fantastic. And then Zaire Williams off the bench, 16 points, 6 of 7 from the floor. We talked about Paolo, phenomenal, 20-point third quarter, finished with 30 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal. Franz Wagner, 19 in the fourth, finishes with 22 points. If you just look at Franz's stat line, you're like, man, he had a great night. He really just had a great fourth quarter. The free throws, obviously a big part of that as well. Terrence, it sucks when you have like a vintage Terrence Ross performance and it gets wasted. 14 points, 5 of 7, 4 of 6 from the three-point line. He was instrumental in that third quarter as well. And then steady Wendell Carter Jr., 18 points, 7 rebounds, 58% from the floor. Magic, leave a couple of, points at the free throw line, which could have helped make this a closer game at the end. I know a lot of people, including myself, were frustrated with the officiating. Magic shoot 30 free throws in this game, but I think like realistically, the Magic could have shot like close to 40. And sure, Ja Morant is a guy, I would say it's not nearly as bad as Trae Young, but you breathe on the guy, it feels like, and he's at the free throw line, but he actually only shoots 7 free throws in this game. It just felt like when the Magic were trying to make the comeback and it seemed like there was a lot of contact, like call it one way or the other. That's either an offensive foul or it's a defensive foul. You got to call something there. And just super frustrating. We've talked about, Tom Haberstrow's whole study that he did, that the Magic on a pretty regular basis get the lowest quality and least experienced referees in the NBA. Don't want to make this an entire segment. Do what you will with that information. And then when you play teams like Golden State, Boston, the Los Angeles Lakers, that's when the Magic tend to get the more tenured referees, the more tenured officials. But yeah, it sucks when a team like that comes in and Ja is such a popular player. There's a lot of fans in the arena, really not Grizzly fans, like really fans of Ja. And then you see them dancing, on their way out to the tunnel, and they come into your building and kick your butt. Don't really like the Grizzlies, but we'll see them again. Luke, let's break down this Warriors game. So this was the watch party. Obviously, a lot of energy. It was a lot of fun. Klay Thompson was supposed to play in this game, was announced even in the starting lineup, but wasn't on the bench. And then a couple of minutes into the game, we find out that he was ruled out due to knee soreness, which, Klay has been playing out of his mind lately. He's been playing a ton of minutes with Steph out of the lineup. So, I think it's just kind of precautionary for the Warriors. But then all of a sudden, you feel like you have a really, in my mind, at that point, this became a must win. Klay Thompson, if he goes off and drops 40 points or whatever, like he's been doing pretty recently, then you're like, all right, you got beat by a Hall of Famer. But once he's out of the lineup and you're looking at Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, Kevon Looney, Dante DiVincenzo, Jordan Poole, Anthony Lamb, Andre Iguodala, Ty Jerome, you're like, okay, the Magic should be able to beat this team. And we did beat this team, don't get me wrong. But the thing that we didn't really count on was Anthony Lamb, which Golden State, what are you doing? I don't know if you have Google. If you can Google Anthony Lamb's name, the kid is dealing with some pretty serious accusations as of late. Mm-hmm. Don't want to get into detail really with that. But this kid comes into the game with a career high of 22 points, matches his career high in the first half for the Golden State Warriors. I don't know what it is about the Magic, Luke. This has just become a trope over the years. Pick the most random, obscure, you've never heard of this guy on the other team's roster. You might as well just lock it in that he's going to have pretty close to a career night. And it was Anthony Lamb in this game, and he was really a big part of keeping Golden State in the game in the first half. The Magic have a 3-point lead at the half, and I'm looking around like, we didn't play that well in the first half, and we're up 3. So if we're able to put it together in the second half, we got a pretty good chance of winning this game, Luke, and that's really what we did.
Yeah, and if you look at the essentially like the first quarter of this game, Jonathan, you're down 1 at the end of the first quarter after T. Ross hits his a big 3, which came after the successful challenge on the 3-point attempt that the Magic had. Magic roll out a first quarter challenge, which was very interesting to see. I'm glad it was successful. I don't think that they challenge anything in the first quarter unless they have a 99% chance feeling that is going to go their way. You have a huge 6-point swing there, but all of a sudden you look up, you're only down 1. Golden State shot 24 out of the 29 first quarter points were threes, Jonathan. They shot 8 of 18 from 3. That is 44%. They were on pace to make 32 threes. So the Magic, thankfully, were able to get out to the 3 a little bit better there. And the rest of the quarters, the Warriors end up shooting 31% from 3. That's the key, man. If the Warriors are shooting sub 33% from 3 in a game, you can feel pretty good about your chances because they're not great at getting to the paint. So if you're able to stop them from the outside, you change your chances immensely. We saw in the first quarter that is all they wanted to do was shoot threes. That is not a surprise that they were taking them, even that they were making them. So, I mean, really good effort from there on out, obviously from the Magic. You win 3 quarters in this game, Jonathan. The first one you lose by 1 point, and then you go on to outscore the Warriors in the remainder, the remaining quarters. I was just really proud of the altogether effort this team showed. You saw Suggs play more minutes. What did he end up playing? Was it 15? Something like that. So, yeah, man, a fun game. Fun to do it with Magic fans. We're now 3-1 with watch parties. I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
I'm saying. Orlando Magic. 3-1, 6-man show watch parties. And we can also add that, like, the draft lottery watch party. That was a massive dub.
True.
That probably accounts for like 20 dubs, if I'm being honest.
Maybe
so
more.
we're 23-1 now in Magic watch parties. Like, I'm just saying, let's kind of keep the mojo going. Somebody like quoted that today, like said, like, the Orlando Magic partnering with the 6-man show at watch parties are 3-1 on the season, and then tagged, "Is this anything?" I think that's anything. I think that's pretty significant. Yeah. So would love to see more of these. Look, you talked about like the points in the paint and just like the discrepancy and the start of the game, Golden State just shooting the crap out of the ball. The first quarter, the Magic trail 28-29. In the first quarter, out of 29 points, the Warriors had 4 points in the paint.
Yeah.
At the half, Golden State had 59 points. They had 16 points in the paint. 12 of 33 from 3 in that first half. So once they cooled off a little bit, you felt like the Magic were going to have a chance to extend this lead. And the Magic had a big lead, most of the second half, and in the fourth quarter on their way to a W. And now the first time that you won in Golden State since, I believe it was 2012, and you sweep Golden State for the first time in who knows how long, happens to be the defending champs. And then you see these sites talking about how the Magic beat like an undermanned Golden State team. Where is the article every other night about these teams beating an undermanned Orlando Magic team? We never get the benefit of the doubt in that respect, so I don't know why these other teams are. Mm-hmm. We are by far and away the most injured team, arguably of all time. Like, if you look at the last 3-year stretch, I'm putting the Orlando Magic's disabled list up against anybody in the history of the NBA.
Yeah.
Like we've got, that's anything. I wish David Steele would do that. Take the last 3 years and see. I don't even know if you're able to calculate that at this point, but we have to have like one of the worst injury stretches in the documented history of the NBA, I would imagine. But when you sweep the defending champs, always feels good. You beat them on their floor. It's a great start to the road trip, Luke.
Yeah. Listen, man, I could not have been happier with that performance. Makes the West Coast late tip that much more worth it. I hope that we're able to put something together against Sacramento with the 10 p.m. freaking tip. That's going to be brutal, especially if we lose. But hopefully we can put together a similar performance like we did against Golden State and get the win. But yeah, man, it was a great altogether win.
Folks, don't forget, every day after Magic victories, you can get 50% off Papa John's online order with code MAGICWIN. And Luke, speaking of late tips, this entire week is late tips.
Disgusting.
The Magic's yearly West Coast road trip this week is pretty brutal. This is my least favorite week of the year. It always seems to be around January. The Magic take a lengthy West Coast road trip. Looking at this week, Monday, Tuesday, you've got a back-to-back. You're at Sacramento on Monday. That tip-off is at 10 o'clock. Gross. Tuesday at Portland, 10 o'clock tip-off. Gross. Then you've got a couple of days off. You head to Utah to take on the Jazz on Friday the 13th, by the way. That tip-off is at 9 o'clock. And then Sunday, you've got the last game of this, what is this, a 5-game road trip? The last game of that 5-game road trip at Denver on Sunday. That tip-off is going to be at 8 o'clock p.m. Luke, let's give a little prediction here. What do you think happens this week?
Well, first of all, I'm going to note the scheduling ridiculousness here, Jonathan. You go on this road trip. The league is giving the Magic off from when that Nuggets game happens on Sunday. The Magic don't play again till Friday, the 20th. That means Sunday night we will hop on here, record a pod, and Wednesday's pod will be about no games. No game recaps. And we're going to be talking. So thank you to the NBA for that scheduling beauty there. As far as the week ahead, man, I'm going to say the Magic go, 1-3. This road trip either goes really well or
that's how I feel.
Really bad. Like the team is in a groove. If you beat Sacramento, to me, that really sets the tone. Furthers, the Warriors win that you have. I mean, the Trailblazers, they don't play again until they play us on Tuesday. So what? That's a back-to-back right there for the Magic. Schedule loss, as they call it. The Jazz, let's see what their scheduling looks like. They play Tuesday and then they don't play again until Friday against us. So that's beautiful.
Yeah.
The Nuggets, you play them on Sunday. They play on Friday. The only thing that gives me a little hope is that it's prime time against the Clippers. Maybe there's just some emotional exhaustion. I don't know. I'm going to say one win, 3 losses. I'm going to say you lose to Sacramento. They're coming off a heartbreaking, huge loss to the Lakers, where they both put up like 135 or something like that, essentially, at least 135. So yeah, 1-3. I'm going to go 1-3. You beat the Blazers, but that's about it. We'll see if they can.
Spicy, a win second night of a back-to-back. So I have them beating the Kings for the sole reason that the Magic had them dead to rights in Orlando earlier this year, and they let go of a big lead, and then De'Aaron Fox hits that like 45-foot jumper to win the game. So I think the Magic they've circled this game like, all right, this is ours to get back. We should have had ours in Orlando.
Yeah.
And they're feeling good after the win in Golden State. It's not that far of a trip, from San Francisco to Sacramento, relatively, short flight. It's not like they're flying, across the country for this game. So they had the day off, I'm guessing, in Sacramento today when we're recording this on Sunday. And then like you're looking at, a back-to-back, on the road. So you feel like you probably want to split one of those, and it would be really good to get that first one. So I'm going to pick Sacramento, and then I think we lose to Portland, Utah, and Denver before heading back home. I don't like it. it wouldn't. The great thing is, it wouldn't shock me if we're able to win like 2 games, 3 games this week. I'll be thoroughly impressed.
If you go counting the Warriors game, you go 3-2 on this road trip heading into that break before you play the Pelicans on that Friday. It's a great road trip. So you split this week, you go 2-2. It's great. You beat the Kings tomorrow. You gave yourself a leg up to then maybe the Magic are 10-9 since November 30th when Cole, Anthony, and Markelle Fultz came back. So you're 10-9 since then. The Magic are playing over 500 basketball since then. I wouldn't be shocked, but I just know that I never know what to expect. You know, we predict us to go 3-0. They go 0-3. We predict them to have a losing week this past week. They don't. They go 2-1. So I never know.
Maybe they're just like whatever we say, they do the opposite of.
Okay, the Magic aren't winning a game. I'm changing everything.
For the rest of the year, they're not winning a game for the rest of the year. So now we'll go undefeated and we'll win a championship. I think you mentioned this, Luke, before we started recording, but the Magic started the year 1-11 on the road.
Yeah.
They're now 5-13. So after starting 1-11, they've gone 4-2 on the road.
Yeah,
which is a big deal.
Huge.
So lately, you've been a decent road team.
Yeah.
So would like to see the Magic, continue some wins here. So going to be looking forward to that. Yeah, it feels weird to not talk about a watch party. It feels like for the last month we've had one to tease hyping for the month ahead. Watch parties. So hopefully we can get this figured out pretty soon. We'd love to do another one.
Yep.
Pretty soon here. Love seeing you guys. People they come up and they're very complimentary of the show.
Yeah.
And what you guys are doing is awesome. It's great to see how much you guys have grown. My buddy Tony, who when I started the podcast in 2019 was coming out to the watch parties that I had in Oldsmar at the Buffalo Wild Wings there when we had I think for game 5 against the Raptors, I think we had 8 people show up and the Magic got blown out. And then he came to the watch party that off season for the draft where we drafted Chuma Okeke, formerly known as Chuma Okeke, by the way.
True.
Chuma Okeke. I'm on a hot streak. I've used it in the proper context. I've been pronouncing it correctly. Been crushing it. But so it's just crazy to see how much everything has grown. And we love it. As cool as it is, to be associated with the Magic or whatever, we really just love it. We wouldn't do this stuff if we didn't love it. So hopefully we'll have another watch party soon. But Luke, I don't have anything else. I think that's going to do it for us.
No, go Magic, baby. Can't wait to go undefeated this week and be wrong.
Let's get it. All right, folks. For Luke Sylvia, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You guys are listening to The Sixth Man Show, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya. Thanks for listening to The Sixth Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Sixth Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!